Good morning. Okay. So far, it was what expected yesterday. Choppy consolidation. Stayed in the upper part of the wide range bar. That's the factory work. Now we got a red bar. And let's just move this line below yesterday's low. Right about there. So we've got a pivot there. Came up slightly lower high. And we got trading range. It'll be a boring day if it stays within that range. Now that it's at the bottom of the range, if you're so inclined, like on that move down is where you're going to want it. You would have wanted to buy. You could have moved down to the 5-minute or the 2-minute, whatever, and got in down here. Putting a stop is a little bit further than here, and so your next reference point isn't that far away. It's the ideal scenario with a pattern like this is maybe a little later in the morning where, you get the ideal situations just based on, MTS and what we teach. And it doesn't always play out perfectly, meaning, buyers step up here and they could just take it right up there. So the advanced management strategies course would teach you, you could have in your plan to be a buyer down there and have a stop, down here and share size it accordingly, and then look to add at the appropriate time. Ideally, if it went sideways, to get away from some of this and then go up. The other possibility, of course, is that it rolls over and goes down and comes down to the next level, down around here. But of course, it's got to break that low. Based on the multiple days up in the wide range bar, that could happen. That wouldn't change much on the daily time frame unless it had a pretty sharp correction to the downside. That's the unknown of trading, of course. Right now, from this time frame, you're either long and waiting for this to resolve itself one way or the other. As a continuation pattern, with a move like this, several things could happen. It could pull back, of course, just your typical pullback pattern, something what the weekly chart looks like there. This is not your ideal one since, you had one move up and another big move up and it's close. And we talked about the possibility of an M top forming here. We don't know, but we look at patterns, and we look at patterns and we look at charts, right? That's what we do as technical traders. And that chart is a window to your reality in a sense. And how do you want to form that reality of what's going on here? Our preference here is to look at the price action. If you want to make your reality based on Ichikuni clouds and MACDs and all of that kind of stuff, well, if you can make money doing it, good for you. I couldn't, so I'll share that with you. It was too subjective and kind of hit or miss. Anyway, so reality being, when I look at a chart and I look at this weekly chart, I know one of the possibilities is an M top because of this shallow retracement, the extent of which just went up, the closeness to this high where there was a pretty potent reversal, market internals, which we looked at yesterday. That's a possibility. It's not what is now. So we'll see if that actually plays out. So as of today, what could happen at this point could be a pullback. It could go sideways and bore us for a few more days and then break out. Or we could get another continuation pattern, which takes on different forms. It could form like this. So one of the criteria of a continuation pattern is it's got to take out a prior day's low. If there's a couple of sideways bars, that's even better if it takes out both of those lows. But after taking out the lows, it's got to spring back up again. And so some larger forms of that are shakeout patterns. Quick ones are like this, where they get this 180 type reversal with these big bars. They don't always have big bars, but we can get pullback patterns. We can get continuation patterns. We can get consolidation basing patterns. Any of those will work to support a move going higher. Right? The pullback pattern obviously has to get a reversal just like this one did. So right now we don't know. Right? It's just going sideways, created some support, buyers stepped up on it, maybe it goes sideways a bit longer. And so the psychology of patterns, which is something that we always talk about and teach, is what a trader's thinking when they look at this pattern. Well, those that bought here, congratulations, pat on the back, hats off, you get the gold star. You got a continuation pattern here, which is a bit more, let's say, secure isn't the right word, because money management takes care of, losses and risk. But a higher probability of continuation at this point because of the red bar ignored. And now, since it's made that run and it's gotten closer here, you have more and more individuals being hesitant to commit. Now, those that are long really don't have any reason to step aside yet, other than taking some money off the table. If we were to get that correction bar, that'll wash out some of the longs, and that has the effect of reducing supply, right? Because they'll hit the bid and get out, and we'll see if it turns into a reversal at that point. But now you've got a new group of longs with a correction pattern or a base or a pullback that aren't so anxious to sell. Whereas those that are bought here or here, well, they're just, watering at the mouth for it to take out that red bar and run up here so they could sell up at this high or up above. And so the further prices go, the more the probability that those that are long are going to sell. So right now, we just don't know. So we're kind of boring price action. We call it sitting on our hands. And, we'll just see how it plays out. My preference, honestly, would be for it to dip down below here, maybe intraday getting a shorting opportunity. Maybe it comes down here, and then we'd be looking to go long. So we'll see how it plays out today. So as far as SPX goes, I don't think you want to get too tight up above, but probably, look, the no-brainer for today, I believe, would be above here to make new all-time highs, right? That above 3,600, I'll loosely say I think it would be free money. Whether there's premium there or not, you gotta look. That's the factory work. If it breaks below here, if it breaks below yesterday's low, then I think you can get pretty close, relatively close to the danger zone, and maybe staying above 35.60 at that point. You always want to have that cushion, right? So we look at the, if it breaks here, well, now it's got to come back up to get above the red bars high. So that this area there now becomes your line, one of your lines in the sand or lines of defense. And 35.60, 35.55. At 35.60 is okay. I'd like to see it dip down first, so a little shakeout. And on the downside, it's kind of, I would say 34.50. I don't know why things would get out of hand on the downside. I guess maybe you never know, especially with a tweet coming out or whatever. But, we always look for those lines in the sand. So, obviously, if it breaks yesterday's low, then we're kind of waiting to see if it stabilizes. There isn't much here. And you've got this larger area of congestion right there at 34.50. And so, 34.50, just based on this move up, kind of eyeballing this, even a pullback pattern really shouldn't come down more than 34.40 if this move up is legit, let's just say. So that's the areas I'd be looking at to be, spreads that I would consider the safe zone. Okay. All righty. Nasdaq. Where are we here? Doing nothing, sliding around, going sideways. No one is concerned here. No reason to be. Nice strong move up. If you're going to get the rest of the move, you got to sit through the chop. There's no way around that. So, as it forms this trading range, does it break below? Does it get above? And if it gets above, well, then this becomes major support. Right. Machine on overload. I don't know, George. I sent out an email about MT Live today. And so the next big support is down here, 11,600. And it should never get weighed back down there. Not with a pattern like this. It should not. It can form that continuation correction bar pattern. That would be normal. So, a poke down here that could possibly, come down to 11,900. That would make sense. You get a poke down here and then it try to stabilize again. Same sideways chop going on there. No different. Same possibility of an M top. Sloppy price action. SOH, sit on your hands. Not exactly the same, but chop, chop, chop. A little bit more extended. May provide a better opportunity for short-term scalper shorts on the downside, since you've got 1, 2, 3, starting on the 4th day of sideways price action here. Up above there, it can run. So same message that we're getting here. Choppy price action. Bonds still coming up off of the low, going into last week's high area with plenty of congestion up above, which, the retracement here is getting a little deep. We'll see how far this goes, but it's right where it should, create a sell setup and come back down to this area. Oil's been chopping around, red, green, red, reversal back up. So it's got a pivot here. It's created a pivot now. And obviously that was retested down here. It's chopping around at resistance. Unless you're looking at this to day trade, stay away. Gold improving. All right, this was my theory a couple of weeks ago when this started to break down, is that because of the uptrend on the weekly monthly, that this could be a downside shakeout, and it's not out of the woods yet, but it's a good start to being a shakeout. And we got some movement to the upside here this morning into this void. The big momentum move and stabilization down here. And so we'll see what happens, right? When it gets to that minor resistance, how far can it get into the void? Since this is all the subjective reference point, in reality, there's nothing here to stop it, right? Other than you want to draw some, fake lines, right? Fib lines, VWAPs, speed lines, channels, so on and so forth, to put some, whatever you want to call it, in between here where there's nothing. Maybe it'll hit one of those fake things and stall. Other than maybe it'll just form a pivot when it gets a little too far away from here, and it'll pull back a little bit. So whatever your, like I said, your chart reality is that you're looking at with your squiggly lines on the chart, right? So this is subjective too. It's beyond what's directly to the left here, when above and below. At some point, whatever that subjective reference point is, it's going to form a pivot on my chart, right? Either on the 15 or on the 5, it's going to form a pivot. And I'm going to know that at that point, it's creating some resistance area that's going to have to get above. Right? We'll see how that plays out. In silver, same slop. we got universal slop everywhere with prices trying to lift off a little bit here. So be nimble, be careful, maybe give it a little while to play out. And, the breadth, which I said, don't even want to look at the internals. I said the breadth here really was really stinking on this gap and go day. It was really garbage. But that doesn't mean it can't go higher. Those are just warning signs. Breadth got to an extreme. Markets moved up. The option traders now start playing in more into the calls. And so we've already got our internals telling us, keep an eye on the exit door, right? Can happen at any time. Have your stop in, money management, and whatever happens, take advantage of what you see happening today. Don't fall in love with it. If you're long on your swings, start trailing prior bars, lows, and maybe get out of half and wait to see what happens with the rest. Right? In reality, none of us know what's going to happen for sure. What we look at, these charts here, internals, intermarket analysis, support, resistance, so on and so forth. That's what's going to guide us. So all yours, Dan.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, yesterday we were a lot more active than I thought. So all our patterns, all our opens look fantastic. We're 95% long, maybe more. We just got a call spread on Beyond. We have naked calls on ICLN, the 23s that expire Friday. That looks fine. Everything else great. Yeah, Daku, we're long calls. I said to sell half under a 5-minute low. We're in Lima, India. Today's Wednesday. On Monday, we bought the breakout. I just tightened the stop on that. Yeah, IWM, right. We got a call spread on him too. Yep. Sanjay. Zoom put spread. Yeah, Sanjay, Zoom put spread was in the weekly. Yes. Jake, are you talking to me? I just said, yeah, we have an IWM call spread. All right, all our positions are great. If you have any other questions, tell me. I see workday. We have a covered call. I see one print. Yeah, it is. Looks like it's printing up here, so I'll be tightening the stop on that. We are long stock. A couple from. Hey Anthony, if you can change your drop down. Anthony, email me. But yes, we have 3 advisory letters. We have 3 separate telegrams. So if you're not a subscriber, you aren't going to get telegram. But just email admin, and we can look up your account. LiveGo here. I was watching this into the close yesterday, and we held off, but that's still on my long list. NEO, we have a put spread. And I had it's posted as an official long, but I just sent this to Telegram. I said the gap's messing us up a little bit, so we'll see if we can get a different entry. But yeah, that I love these patterns, because then when they trigger, it's bullish consolidation with red bars ignored. It's actually very similar to our Lima, India, although this was in a bottoming pattern. But the breakout was the day to get over all of those tails. So yeah, NEO looks great. Zoom, we have a put spread, but I'm liking that. Maybe it isn't another put spread for next week. In addition to this is setting up to be a nice day trade long. It's a beautiful, beautiful pre-market right there. November Kilo was a bio that we were watching into the close. Beautiful, beautiful retest on the weekly. So folks, this is it's a W bottom. It's a retest, although the width of the W's are not as wide. Momentum move down, bounce, retest, price void. So the weekly looks great and the daily looks great. So that's why that's on my list. Let's go ahead and look at some gappers now. Oh, crowd. I was watching all day long yesterday and I never triggered that either. But that's still on the long list. Hey, Alex and Greg, I just copied you all on an email. Arun said this is a recent IPO, LNSR, that shows up on TC, but I'm not getting it on TradeStation here. But on TC, it looks fantastic. So keep an eye on LNSR if you have data. I don't know why I'm not. It isn't TSA. Trade. Well, how come I don't get it? LNSR. Data request failed. All right, we'll talk about it later. No, that makes no sense to me, Robert. All right, EFOI, 11 bucks. Big bullish gap, but extending. Myrna, I don't know how we missed this yesterday. That was a beautiful, beautiful close on Monday. Look at that. Beautiful close. Downside shakeout. That's another reverse head and shoulders, folks. That's I'm gonna have to add that to my list. Today, we have MT Live, but next week we're gonna do head and shoulders pattern, and this is a beautiful one. Left shoulder head, quick retracement, bullish action. TDOC was on our list yesterday, it broke out. Let's check this out again for a put spread. Tehran, Econ long 750. It could be a day trade, maybe. It's too sloppy, and it's getting extended right here. So you need a 15-minute some type of pullback Tehran, or else you're just chasing right now. AMC said they're going broke. That's the movie theater, and when we said that, and whatever his cousin is, something Carmark, whatever, the Regal Cinemas. I remember when we were scanning, I said that looked like a short yesterday too. These, they're going out of business. That's what happens when you're shut down with no revenue. Boeing, the European, whatever they're called, says they want to add a couple $2 billion of tariffs to them, but that chart, I have zero interest in trading. Zoom, we talked about, looks good. McGraw, you asked me about this. It's a big old gap here to prior highs, so there's no way we're going to get any juice for a put spread. XPEV, recent IPO. All right, yeah, Greg, it's LNSR. Well, Greg, if you like it, could you post it? Because if you like it as a swing, it looked fantastic on what Arun sent me.
It's a pullback on a new issue.
I know, it looks fantastic.
Okay, but it doesn't even have a base on a 60-minute chart yet. There's no retest. I mean, on a higher low on a 60-minute, there's just not enough data unless you want to put a stop below day before yesterday's low.
No, see, I don't have charts, so I can't watch it. All right, XPEV, another IPO that's slopping around, but it's not ready, but it's a gap, and similar to Lima, India. If it can get through some of these red bars, so nothing today, but I'm going to put it on my watch list. 1290. It's a bullish gap, but that's junk. Remember, I I like winnowing down my list. All right, this momentum is down rapidly, but we have a gap up and we're making a little higher low here. So 30-minute high, it's a candidate. This has room to this 15-minute breakdown. That would be my target, 750. So that's worth watching. Nothing to do with TTD, but I just saw it today on the gapping up. Look at that incredible run. And you know where the beautiful entry was? Tehran, if you get good juice, yeah. The beautiful entry was right here on 925. Look, couldn't go down. Wide range igniting, bottoming tail into the WRB. This bar closing new high.